Gene Yang. I actually have two different jobs. I am a high school teacher and I'm also a cartoonist. I'm going to be reading to you from my latest graphic novel, which was released in June of this year. It's a collaboration between me and one of my friends, Tin Pham, who's also a Bay Area cartoonist. I did the writing and he did all of the drawing, so he did the hard work. This book was actually inspired by my brother. I have a younger brother who is a medical doctor, so he's the good Asian son. And when he was going through med school, he would come home and he'd tell me all these crazy stories about what he would have to do for his class assignments. In order to be a doctor, you have to do some really disgusting things. It's really gross. Well, I listen to these, and every time you tell me one of these, I think, man, this really belongs in a graphic novel. But the problem was that this was just a collection of interesting incidents. There was no dramatic through line that ran through all of this. Eventually, he gave me a through line, and that was this. One night, he came over and we had dinner, and he told me that he was thinking about being a gastroenterologist. Do you all know what that is? It's a doctor that specializes in the study of the digestive system. Now, my brother is one of the most squeamish people I've ever met. When we were kids and we saw like some dog poop on the street, he would kind of gag a little bit. We had these toys that were a yellowish color, and he had to give them away because they reminded him of vomit. So I said, you know, out of all the people I know, why would you choose to be a gastroenterologist? That means you're going to have to deal with human feces for your entire career. How are you going to deal with that? And he says to me, he says, well, the other day for a class assignment, I had to do a colonoscopy. And it was like playing video games with somebody's ass. So that's the through line. That's the through line that I decided to build the entire narrative of Level Up around. The entire thing is, you know, the video games is a huge theme, so the entire thing is set up like an old school Game Boy. I saw my first video arcade game when I was 6. It was a beat-up old Pac-Man coin-op, and it sat in the lobby of a Chinese restaurant just down the street from our home. Come on, Dennis, our table's ready. In a minute, Mom. Dennis, be right there, Mom. I don't know if you can see from the back, but his eyes turned into Pac-Man's. Father says now. From then on, I dreamed in pixels. The week after I started 3rd grade, a convenience store several blocks from my house got Super Mario Brothers. I stopped by every day after school, even though it wasn't really on the way home. Sometimes there'd be other kids playing and I got to watch. I could never play because my parents didn't believe in allowances. Your father works very hard for his money. You shouldn't spend it on such frivolous things. Still, when no one was around, I could hold the joystick, push the buttons, and pretend. Boing, boing. A few months later, I learned about the Nintendo Entertainment System from a friend. What do you mean you've never heard of it? You live in a cave or something? My folks are tight about TV, all right? Stop being a buttface and tell me. So basically, you get to play Super Mario all you want, anytime you want, for free. That is the single most amazing thing I've ever heard. Christmas was right around the corner. I began dropping hints. On Christmas morning, I rushed downstairs. There was a box waiting for me beneath the tree, wrapped in bright yellow. It was heavy and about the right size and shape. It was a chemistry set. Such a thoughtful gift from your father. I wanted my father to explain. Over the next week and a half, he did. There's a little article there saying how to get into college. Best jobs. The job market. The virtue of work. He hasn't opened his chemistry set. Perhaps we can get him a video game for his birthday. To provide that boy with the life he has, I've had to eat much bitterness. He must learn to do the same. How will a video game teach him to eat bitterness? My father died of liver cancer 2 weeks before I graduated high school. I stayed with him long after everyone else had left. After the funeral, I drove straight to an electronics store. That night, I began to play. I played and played and played and played and played and played. I played until the night they came to visit. So the entire book is all about this tension between what Dennis feels like he has to do. These angels come down and visit him and tell him that it's his destiny to go to medical school. So the central tension of the book is between what he has to do, what he feels like he has to do, which is go to med school, and what he really wants to do, which is play video games. Now, I told you about how this book started with my brother, but as I began writing it, I began thinking more and more about my father. So my dad is a pretty typical Chinese dad. When I went to college, he gave me the choice of the three, the Chinese trinity, doctor, lawyer, engineer. So all the way through growing up, we had this tension. He wanted me to do something really practical, and I wanted to follow the desires of my heart. As I got older, and especially after having my own kids, I have 3 kids of my own now, I've begun to realize that even though I didn't necessarily agree with the details of what he was saying, that there actually was some wisdom behind his words. For instance, health insurance is actually kind of an important thing. And it's also nice to have a regular paycheck. That's a really nice thing to do. So nowadays, I feel like one of the central things that I've been trying to do in my own life is integrate the wisdom behind my parents' words, especially my dad's words, even if I don't listen to the actual words themselves, to integrate the wisdom behind his words into my decision making as I'm trying to pursue my heart's desire. Well, thank you very much.